As human beings, we at some stage created. We go through some mechanisms of biology, and we turn out to be who we are. From the time we're adults, we know our left from our right. Our destiny is in our hands. Our destiny is only in our hands if we respect time. Because the respect for time and the centrality of time stems at the core of what I'll discuss with you. Everything six people before me have spoken extensively, have shared their experiences, and they all have hopes that the hours they spend here will somehow transform lives. These hours will not transform lives unless we respect time. Because time goes and it never comes back. So therefore, as we reflect at the end of this session and as we go out, one of the key things I would want you and I would want to urge you to do is recalibrate your time, your perception of time, and know that your life is dependent on time, and for as long as we do not respect time, we will lose a lot of opportunities. Because today, I really want us to reflect on the opportunities in calamity. This morning, we heard of the discussions, we saw the moving drama of the lives of people during the Boko Haram insurgency. Millions of people have been affected. Thousands of lives have been lost. Billions of naira have been used. And you know what? We're still using billions and billions of naira trying to enforce security. This is our reality. This is the story of Borno. This is the story of the northeast of Nigeria. For me, as an impatient optimist, I believe that the story is only important if we choose to use the story to learn a lesson, to be able to drive the future, that we have control. We have no control about the past. It has happened. But we do have control in grounding ourselves in absorbing what has happened, learning from what has happened, and moving on based on what we learn. So for me, what does this mean to me, Mairo Mandara? For me personally, I live in this region. I'm a middle-aged woman. I'm not young. Time is not on my side, so I'm in a hurry. Most of you are young. Time is not on your side because you need to catch up with the world. When I was growing up, dreaming to be a pilot, I really wanted to be a pilot, to fly all over the world and see the world. But at my time, there were no opportunities for girls to be pilots. All smart girls became doctors or engineers. So there I was, I became a doctor. For you, you don't need to fly. In fact, while at my age, I was dreaming to go and see the world. For your age, the world is in your phone. But the challenge for you is that you are no longer competing with children in Maiduguri, you're no longer competing with children in Nigeria, you're no longer competing with children in Africa, you're competing for jobs with children in India and China and the United States. And in that world of competition, there's no regional quota, there's no state ration, it's all there for the grab. So, looking at the premise in the situation that you find yourself, forget that you are born in Maiduguri, forget that you grew up in Maiduguri, you went to GG Maiduguri and you're now in University of Maiduguri, you marry a lecturer in University of Maiduguri. The truth is that you're competing outside Maiduguri. And I'll tell you, even within Nigeria, when I was head of Gates Foundation, when I was coming here, my secretary, who receives people and welcomes people, had a master's degree. So what's this is Abuja. This is Abuja. So where are the opportunities? Because the opportunities are there, the choices you have depends on you. So for me, this is our situation. You need to accept. This is who we are. This is who we are. We live here. This is what we have. But the future depends on you. The future depends on you and the choices you make today. And I'll tell you, as I moved from my job to come and take this, to support the governor I really respect, and that's probably why I leave my job from anywhere in the world and come here. People keep asking me, why are you leaving this job to come to Maiduguri? Why? And I have a simple answer. And the answer is that I saw an opportunity, and I will not waste that opportunity to make a difference. So for you, as you settle in your own self, what are the choices you're making? Living in Borno, I know now, and I'm aware of the different choices we have. There are quite a lot of people you can choose. You can choose to actually be a victim, hopeless, and feeling defeated, and therefore waiting for the Messiah, waiting for NGOs to come and give you food and give you gifts. This is one option. You can lament and lament and lament and give excuses for every single thing. That's another option. You can also be part of the crowd running for NGO jobs. I see young people who've spent 7 years to be doctors, fresh from medical school, having finished house job, NYSs, basic 9 years in the university without repeat. They come out from the medical school, they come to me, oh, doctor, please, I want to be an NGO worker. I want a job in NGO. I said, are you crazy? Are you crazy? Do you know what NGO job is? They think NGO job, you get paid in dollars. When I tell people that when I worked as the head of Gates Foundation in Nigeria, I was paid in Naira, people think I'm lying. I was paid in Naira. So people run. So you can also decide to be excited and rush and go and get NGO job, or you can decide to reflect, review, rethink, and strategize for the future. And in this day and age, you absolutely have no choice if you want to simply survive, but to rethink, reflect, and plan for the future. Now, the situation we find ourselves in Borno is actually not the first. I remember when I was a fresh young girl from secondary school, I came for a scholarship interview. I was held by the Metazine crisis. In the end, I was smuggled in a train to Bauchi. But before then, in about 1387, this region was also beravelled by fight and war for a whole century, until the advent of Mai Umar Idris, and later Mai Ali Gaji, that settled. That was a whole century of the crisis we're seeing now. It was the advent of Mai Ali Gaji that brought the sanity that gave the rise to the famous Mai Idris Aloma, the celebrated Mai Idris Aloma. Nobody tells us of the story of what happened before the advent of Mai Idris Aloma. What did the people do? During Mai Ali Gaji, what did he do? There was complete social reorientation, and people took their lives and their future into their hands. Now, as we look at the opportunities, as we look at the opportunities, for me personally, at this stage in our history, I feel we have the opportunity having come to almost ground zero to now define the narrative. We can create a trajectory that we will never have had the opportunity to have if we had had peace. Because you know what? We would have continued as the Kanem Borno, the nice people with our elegance and everything. Suddenly, all those myths have been shaken. Now we realize that no, we cannot continue with that. Those things that broke about Boko Haram need to change, and that we have in our hand. Secondly, I personally believe that every single one of you has a responsibility and a role to play. Every single one of you can actually change the trajectory of their lives and can change the trajectory of the situation they find themselves, and therefore can change the trajectory of Borno State. It's all not about money. It's not about money. You don't need money to actually mentor somebody else. You don't need money to do the right thing. As one of the speakers was speaking, some young people were having a conversation at the back. I didn't need money during the break when I walked up to them and I begged them to stop talking, and they stopped talking. I did not need money. We really do not need money. I think we overvalue the value of money, and that is actually destroying us. The proposition I have is the opportunity in Borno creates a unique opportunity, the position we find ourselves in Borno creates a unique opportunity for social entrepreneurship. What do I mean by social entrepreneurship? There are lots of issues, there are lots of problems. You can actually solve those problems. Create better life for others and for yourself. And you know what? In the process, you will get money. But if you run after money, I've never seen anything that runs as fast as money. Try running after money, money will run, and you'll never catch it. But try working hard. Try excelling in anything, and money will always come your way. And trust me, I have a bit of money, and it came through hard work. Nobody gave me free money, and free money never comes through anywhere. Now, in doing this, there are certain things that we must discard. We must discard. We must discuss contentment with a C or a B. There's no way you can make a difference with anything less than an A. You have to excel. You have to excel as a sweeper. You have to excel as a cleaner. You have to excel as a cook. You have to excel in whatever you choose. This is fundamental. The second is that you also have to follow your passion. You cannot be Dr. Mairo Mandara because you are not Dr. Mairo Mandara. But you can be Fatima or Abubakar or Ibrahim or whatever, and you can be much better than Mairo Mandara. But if you gauge yourself that you want to be Dr. Mairo Mandara, you will not be Dr. Mairo Mandara because you're not. But if you become Fatima, Fatima can be that dream that you really want to be. And so therefore, where are the opportunities? And as I speak to people about opportunities in Borno, people keep asking me, but where are the opportunities? While I will mention a few opportunities, I will urge you to please, please, and please, as we end the day today, do my favorite pastime. Take the last 15 minutes of the day. Reflect on today. Reflect on the day and define your own opportunity. Lots of opportunities. Look at where we are. The biggest threat we have now, honestly, is not Boko Haram. It's not the military. It's not anybody. The biggest threat we have is desertification. Let's have peace. The rate at which the Sahara Desert is encroaching in our land is unbelievable. Yet we're still cooking with firewood, even as it is more expensive than gas. It's the most expensive form of energy here. As young people, look at green sustainable energy. As young people, plant a tree. Plant a tree. What does it take to plant a tree? I can promise you, anyone who wants to plant a tree, I'll buy you a seedling. But plant a tree. And for those of you who are Muslims, it's also Sadaqah Jariyah, isn't it? For as long as that tree exists, you get reward. Tech and innovation. I always say that, unfortunately, I'm over 50, and I don't think I have time to explore those ones. If I were you, living in Maiduguri, within 2 years, I would be employed by Google or Microsoft. I don't have time to be employed in the civil service of Borno State. And in any case, there are no jobs. Trust me, there are no jobs to employ you. You have to create your own job. You have to be independent. You have to create your own employment. You have to employ people. If you're waiting for employment from Borno State government or federal government, there's simply no job. You have to create your own job. Agriculture. Borno, before the insurgency, did you know that Borno was the greatest producer of fish in Nigeria? Agriculture. Agriculture value chain. How do you improve the agricultural value chain? We have lots of tomatoes. On season, tomato is 400, 500 a basket. Off season, 20,000. Can you imagine if you're able and you do not need a lot? As a wife, as a housewife, I have learned to preserve tomatoes. If I can do it, I'm sure you can do better. There are also opportunities in waste management. I was in Bulunkutu recently, and I met a group of young women in Islamia, and I said to them, you know what, why don't you just keep your environment clean and you go to the hospital less? You'll have less diseases, less diseases that are penetrated, that are circulated through dirt. They were surprised. So the essence is, it's not in what you do, it's whether you excel in what you do or you don't. And quite frankly, I think the choices are yours. The greatest challenge we have, or the greatest enemy we have in beautifully progressing and in looking at the opportunities wherever we find ourselves, is not the government. It's not that person who is blocking your progress. It's not anybody. It's actually you. When you decide to do what you need to do, nobody is going to stop you. The most important thing is the decision. The first thing is to decide that you really will make a difference. And for me, coming now and living in Borno, I honestly choose. It's a choice. I choose to come to this environment, and I choose to live in this environment, and I'm choosing not to be affected by the drama in this environment. When I met some of our some of our humanitarian partners, and we're talking about distributing food. How can we distribute food to people in need? Yes, this week we give them this food. Tomorrow we give, I said, no, stop it, stop it, stop it. You don't want to give them food every day. You don't want to make them dependent. You don't want to dehumanize it. Giving people food for free every day dehumanizes them. Give them food for a month. Have one contact and give them capital to feed themselves thereafter. What is our plan as actors, as humanitarian actors? And you know what? We are a proud people. We're a people who are known to be proud. At this point, we're even demonstrated if we don't get free food. This is not us. This is somebody else. As young people who are not in camp, you all have obligations to make sure that you walk into that camp. How many of you have been into these camps? How many of you have volunteered 1 week to go and talk to young people in the camps? We have a responsibility. Like the story of Boko Haram, and like the story of anything else, the world is a global village. Nobody is immune, whether you live in Lagos or Abuja. It's either we do the right thing now, or when we do the right thing, we don't do the right thing, the consequences catches up with us wherever we are. We can no longer hide from the consequences of social injustice and social inequity. That my children are in a good university is not good enough. What is good enough is that every child is in a good university. That we see social injustice and look the other way shows that we're not human. Shows that we're in the same category as the lions and the dogs and the cats. When they see their fellows fighting or social injustice, they just move on. So for me, the key to the opportunities in this is our understanding of our unique value as members of the animal kingdom. That we're the only ones that God has given the spatial brain to think, to analyze, and to know what is right and what is wrong. And for those of you that are Muslim, I've heard over and over again that that is why God created you, to ensure what is right and forbid what is wrong. So in doing this, it's not about daily prayers. It's not about fasting. It's not going to Hajj. It's actually what happens between the morning prayers and the Zuhur prayers, between the Zuhur prayers and the Asr prayers, between the Asr prayers and the Maghrib prayers. The total time of prayers is not more than 1.5 hours. What's happening in the 22.5 hours? So for me, the opportunity for us here is for us to come together. And each one of you can do something. I always finish my talk with asking and challenging you to look into yourself, because you're the greatest tool that you have. Look into yourself. Define what your passion is. Curate your future, because your future is with you. It's not with your father, it's not with your mother, or it's not with Juju man, or Juju woman, or not even with Malam. Your future is with you. Define what it is. Strategically think. You can't do these things organically. You have to think, you have to plan. You have to have plan A, plan B, plan C. If A doesn't fail, so what? That's not the end of the world. Move to plan B. B doesn't work, so what? Move to plan C. And so you continue, because for as long as you're alive, you keep moving through the ladder. Finally, being one of the oldest in this, I'll give you what, in my opinion, is a word of wisdom. Don't laugh, because I'm over 50. When you do the right thing, it's not being altruistic. It's not pity for others. It's actually self-preservation. Doing the right thing is not about being good to other people. No. It's about being good to yourself. As you see, not just in Nigeria, all over the world, people who stand up for social justice, as we saw with Nelson Mandela, with Mahatma Gandhi, are people that live forever, whether they're breathing on earth or not. People who ignore social justice and people who look the other way around or just invest their time acquiring money are people who are easily forgotten. And as a firm believer, I believe in a God. I also believe I'm created for a reason. So therefore, on that one day when you all stand for 1 minute silence I know it's only my family that will stay for 7 days. My friends will leave after 3 days. My children will mourn for 7 days before they start sharing my booty. Perhaps before my sisters finish packing my things from my room, my husband will start thinking of another wife. Maybe my son will start calculating how much he will earn and therefore will buy a new car. And my daughters will maybe looking at what jewelry will they inherit. These sound callous, but this is the truth. When I'm finally bundled to be taken where nobody will put their leg for 1 hour so that I can have comfort, it is only what you have done, it is only what I have done that will go with me. And so therefore, and that going has no date, has no time, and has no age. So as we reflect at the end of the day, I hope you will join us in your very little way or in your very big way. You'll join Professor Martha and I, and Dizanna himself, in actually rebuilding this state. We're working on a 25-year development plan. People are saying, you should work on food. I say, no, I choose to work on 25-year development plan for Borno because I believe this is the only state we can call ours. This is the only country we can call ours, and I'm sure we can do it because it is the right thing to do, and I'm sure we all can put our hands together and join in this movement. Unlike other TEDx, I hope that this TEDx will be a project beyond today. It will be a project to join hands together and build a Borno where nobody will recognize where we were coming from. I thank you all.